John, why don't you go ahead, start off with your presentation?
Yeah, okay. Awesome. All right, so I'm Jon Levesque, and it's very nice to be here with everybody. I am the Senior Platform Evangelist for the Power Platform. And so that means that while there is this great team that is building these products, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, Power Apps, all that goodness, I'm here trying to make it known. And so a lot of my job is all the fun stuff, right? I get to hang out with the community and get paid to come and hang out at user groups. I get to make videos. I get to organize events. Like you said, I get to host things, which is actually one of the highlights of what I get to do. I love hosting things, and this year I actually got to host two really big events for Microsoft, the Business Application Summit and the Power Platform Community Conference. And so it's an honor to get to do that for my job, to get to be a community member and build experiences for people to get together and do community. It's funny in Microsoft, they always talk about, oh, John, you build so much community. It's awesome, and my thing is always like, I'm not building the community. I'm just creating places for community to happen, right? Because you don't build community, it happens. It's a thing that grows. It's an interconnected thing. And so, yeah, that's me. In my personal life, I enjoy nature. I like hiking and flying my drone. And pretty soon when the snow starts, I'll be skiing my face off as often as possible, skipping out on as much work as I can, because that's what I love to do. I got a couple of kids and a boat, and being outside is just in any form is tops for me. And so what am I talking about today? It was funny when Kathy invited me. She was like, Azure, you should do Power Automate. And I'm gonna, and then she said she was gonna do Power Apps, and she's like, John, you just do whatever you want for 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I guess I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so I thought about it a little bit, and my new latest passion is Power Virtual Agents. I love Power Virtual Agents. A lot of people have not seen it. They have not gotten a chance to put their hands on it yet. I think when it first came out, there were some what should we call? There were some roadblocks to adopt, right? There was some really steep licensing that was in the way, where it was really expensive. And I'm happy to say that that's not really a concern anymore. They've put a whole bunch of trials in place where you can just click extend trial and keep using it. That's one. But even better than that, for a company who doesn't want to bet on trial extension, they actually made it so that anything you create in Power Virtual Agents, if you deploy it to teams, it's absolutely free. And so if you want to put it on your website, you want to embed it in a mobile app, you got to pay for those experiences. But if you want to build a chatbot that helps your team or your organization and just only deploy it in Teams, completely free, all the functionality, everything I'm going to show you today. And so that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video because I've been having some bandwidth problems, and then I'll share my screen here. But this is a Power Virtual Agents introduction, and a big shout out real quick before I get started. I want to shout out a few community members. Everything I'm going to show you today was actually taught to me by community members like yourselves. So Tomasz Pazitek, he taught me a lot about Power Virtual Agents, and Prashant Shukla and Lisa Crosby and Yash Agarwal. All these MVPs and community superstars they're the ones who taught me about Microsoft products that I work on. And so before I get started and show you all this, just want to make sure to call them out and give credit where credit is due. If you want to go and learn about these tools, they have a ton of great stuff to show you after I'm done, and I'll drop you with some links. Okay, enough chatter. I'm going to go ahead and kill my video here and start sharing. I'm going to share screen one. There was my calendar of the day. You could see it was quite full. Awesome. And I'm going to assume that you guys can see what I see, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. This is the Power Virtual Agents homepage. And there's a couple of things here. You kind of have your name of the bot that you're working on. You have a few icons about who's collaborating on this bot with you. And then we have a few kind of get started points where it's telling us what we should do. We should author some topics. We should publish our bot. And then we should check out some performance, and it gives us nice little buttons to do each of those things. And so that is your cycle, right? I'm going to author this bot. I'm going to put this bot out there, and then I'm going to monitor it to make sure that I am understanding what are people trying to learn from this bot, and do I have everything covered? And is my experience the way I want it to be? And so first thing I want to talk about here is whenever you create your first bot, don't fret. It does take about 10 or 15 minutes. Before you get to this page, you're going to have like a get started button. That get started button is going to help you deploy your first bot. That first bot is going to take 10 or 15 minutes to deploy usually. Yes, that is normal. Don't panic. That's totally part of the process. Go ahead and get yourself a soda or a coffee or a beer or whatever it is you like to drink, and just kind of hang tight. It's going to drop you at this screen, okay? And so on the left-hand side, we can see all the parts that make up the bot experience. We have obviously our home page, which is this. We have a topics page. Topics are how we author what the bot understands and what it returns. Entities. Entities are characteristics, okay? And so you can kind of see like an age, a city, a date and a time, a duration. These are all entities. Topics, right? We have greetings, escalations, ending conversations, starting over. You can see I started working on my own custom topic here about beer. Anybody who knows me knows I love beer. And so, of course, my very first bot is going to talk about beer. So I'm going to come back to each of those things, but I want to come back here to the home page and show something very important. Let's say you go ahead and make this bot, and you're like, oh, you know what? I want to make a second bot. You look around this page and you think, where is the button to add a new bot? I don't see it. And don't fret, I didn't see it either. There's this little bot face right here up in the corner, and the new bot button is hidden under there. Also, your environment checker and your list of bots, when you have multiple, will appear here. You can see I only have one. You can see that it's in my personal productivity environment, which is where I want it to be. And that's just your spot where you can actually go ahead and create additional bots. Very important. It took me a little while to figure that out. Also, then you kind of have some settings here. We're not going to talk too much about those, but you have some general settings. You have some options to transfer to agents, and then you have something called a fallback topic. And so a fallback topic is if someone asks your bot something that it just cannot possibly understand, instead of freaking out, we have it fall back and do something. I'm not going to get too deep into that either today, but just know that that's there, and you can actually create multiple fallback topics. There's an awesome video from a community member, Josh Crodell. He used his fallback topic that we just saw in the settings. And what he did was he allowed people to ask the bot questions in multiple languages. And so what would happen is the bot's normally used to interacting in English, but you could come and ask that bot a question in Spanish or Portuguese or French. And what would happen is the bot wouldn't understand the question, and so it would go to fallback. And then what he did in his fallback was he programmed translation. And so the first thing the bot would do when it didn't understand was it would call a Power Automate flow, and it would send that data over to the flow and say, detect what language this is. It would then come back and say, oh, this is Spanish. And then what he would do is the next action, he would take that text and say, translate this text to Spanish. And then he would be able to understand what language it was, right? And then translate the answer back into that default language. Sorry, I'm choking on my water over here. And so what would happen is they detect that language, say Spanish. It would then understand what that answer is by translating it to English. It would then compare that against the frequently asked questions they had, and then it would translate back to Spanish to give the answer that was in the database. So you can actually only manage one database this way and have multiple languages support. Now, keep in mind, machine translation isn't always the best, but a pretty awesome solution rather than hand coding multiple databases for multiple languages. Okay, enough with that. On with the show. So let's go ahead and talk first about entities, because they're going to be an important building block. So you're given a whole lot of these. And I know some of you who are familiar with Dynamics or the Common Data Service, you're going to say, no, these aren't entities, these are tables. No, you're wrong. These are remaining.
Renaming stuff.
Let's not go down that route. But these are actually going to remain entities. These are different than the Common Data Service or Dataverse, whatever we call it this week. It is different than the entity or the table now in that service. And so when you think of entities here, what you're thinking of is a characteristic. And so you can see, right, an age, a city, a color, a continent, an email address, a language. These are all characteristics. And so now what I have done is I have gone ahead and started to create my own entity. Why would I do that? Well, very much like if someone is talking to my bot and they put a pound sign or a euro symbol or a dollar sign, I want the bot to know, to understand, right, what money it's talking about. And you can see here that it already can do that, right? You can see that it understands 1K as 1,000 or 1,000 euros versus $1,000 or 1,500. It can take all these text and words and understand, because behind the scenes, there's this natural language processing, LUIS, that Microsoft has. And so my favorite part about this bot is you don't have to over-engineer it, which we'll talk a little bit more about in topics. So I went ahead and I said, you know what? I want this bot to be able to understand when someone is talking about a specific Power Platform product. And so what did I do? I went ahead and differentiated them all. I said, well, okay, I want them to be able to talk about apps, automate, BI, virtual agents, or even I want to break out AI Builder, because it's becoming quite a big feature. I want to know when someone's talking about something specific to that. And so then what you can do is, very much here, if I wanted to add another product, let's say that there was a product called, Power Pickles. You could add the Power Pickles product. And then also you have this option over here to add synonyms so that you can also identify, maybe someone doesn't know it's called Power Apps, but they've heard of Canvas apps or they've heard of a model-driven app. And that's a Power App, right? We know that when we're talking about those things, we're talking about Power Apps. Similar to Power Automate, if we're talking about automation or workflow or automates, because I hate when people, let me just say real quick, they're still called flows. The product is Power Automate, and Power Automate, we build flows. If I hear you call them automates, I'm going to be upset. So
You're just going to quit. You're just going to leave today.
No, I'm just going to look at you in disgust. Like that Justin Timberlake meme, the disapproving look, like that's the look you're going to get from me. Over the glasses, like they're still flows. And so I put a couple keywords here that help the bot identify, okay, BI, reports, dashboards, business intelligence, right? Virtual agents, it's bots, it's chat bots, it's AI, right? It's AI chatbots, AI Builder, it's OCR and object detection. You get the point. I'm gonna go ahead and delete my Power Pickles here. That's an up and coming product. I shouldn't have spilled the beans on that. You guys keep that secret. It'd be great. And so now we have our list of entities here, okay? And so the bot now will understand these different products, and we'll do more with that later. So we'll set that aside. We can look at a couple others here, right? Temperature is pre-built. It's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It's 2 degrees. It's 30 degrees Celsius. You can see all the different variations, all the different natural language and formats, all understood, and we'll give you some of these different variations, okay? Now, on to topics. This is the other part that makes bots what they are. A couple things I want to show you here. So you have your greeting topic. This one comes out of the box. And so we'll click into greeting, and we can see that it gives you a whole bunch of trigger phrases. And so whenever someone wakes up your bot, they're going to say something like, hello, right? And then I have gone ahead and pre-programmed some things here in this bot so that I can begin to gather some information and give a personalized experience. But we can see that hello was one of the trigger phrases, okay? And then if I were to say, hello, friend. Yeah, see, I went ahead and messed up my flow here, but I forgot to reset. Hello, friend, right? Same thing. And then even if we said like good morning, right? Same thing. And so all these trigger phrases are here, and anything in between will also be understood. Because we put so many variations of hello and good morning, that bot is going to understand anything and everything in between and send us into a certain flow. And what is that flow? So behind the scenes, we have an authoring canvas. If you've ever built a flow in Power Automate, this will look a little familiar, but also you're going to kind of be mad after this that flows don't work as good as Virtual Agent does. Like the authoring experience in Power Virtual Agents is second to none. I'm mad all the time when I build flows, like why don't they take lessons from the Virtual Agent team? So we can see here there's two parts. The first one is trigger phrases that kick off the bot. Second to that is when a trigger phrase actually gets entered, we then have a message, and I can customize this, right? I can take all this out, I can add to it. I've gone ahead and just made a little funny thing here. I'm the Jon bot, I'm here to help. Please ask me where you can find content, how to get connected to community, all that goodness. But then I went ahead and I used an entity by clicking right here and then choosing ask a question. Simple as that. It drops in a question in line. And the question is, before we go any further, let's get to know each other. What's your name? And then I am choosing here that the question is going to identify and then store as a variable the person name. And let me just show you how easy this actually is. Okay, so I'm going to delete that out of there. I'm going to go ahead and say ask a question. And I'm going to say, great. Great, but before we go any further, tell me your name, right? And then over here, I can search person name, and you can see, look at this. It actually created the variable for me. And here's the even better part. If you're smart, you can rename this variable. And so now that variable is named name. And I can say, nice to meet you, name. Now that we have that out of the way, what can I do for you? Okay, and now for me, I made a terrible mistake with the first bot I built, okay? And what it was is that I actually continued to build out a flow here. I went ahead and I said, let's go ahead and add a condition. And depending on how they answer, let's go ahead and then add some more stuff here. And instead of building a bot, I was building a flow. And so don't be tempted to build a bot like you build a flow. Instead, leave this greeting topic alone so that it does what you need it to do. Now, I'm going to show you this. This little button right here is called variable watch. In the common terminology, we call it slot filling. And so we see that we have a name slot right here. And so let's go ahead and walk through this flow. So someone comes up and says hello. And then you can see, look at that. Triggered, all of a sudden we give that message back and then we ask a question, right? What's up? I'm the Jon bot. Before we go any further, tell me your name. My name is Jon. Look at that. And now you can see it took that variable, filled the slot, name Jon. Now, as long as I interact with this bot, it knows I'm Jon. And so imagine now if I start to use some other entities, like I tie in account, or I tie in email address, or I tie in language preference, or a million other things, because I can very simply ask the user for an input and then store the context. Okay, so that's cool, right? Pretty cool. Let me show you now how this all works together, which is really interesting. Let's go back over to topics. And so we need to create another topic really quick. So I'm going to just create another one, and we'll call it YouTube. Okay, and friendly name will be the same. Description. Okay, and so the trigger phrase is we'll do YouTube, obviously. Now it says here, how might customers ask about this topic? Try to start with 5 to 10 diverse phrases. Know this. 5 to 10 is an absolute minimum. The more you can put, the better off you're going to be. It's the more options you give the bot, the better it's going to understand what the intent is for this topic, and then will better guide things. Okay, so let's see here.
Now, John, please let me know if this is okay. We have a question here from Fernando.
Sure.
He's asking, or he's actually saying, the username is already saved at the start of the bot, isn't it, John? I'm not sure if he's referring to that name that you see, your icon on the upper right-hand corner, right?
So when I interact with the bot here, I mean, it's definitely going to pull my context. But when we release the bot out into the wild, it does not automatically pull context and slot fill like that. We have to ask it to do such things. Does that make sense?
Yes, to me
Okay.
it does. Fernando, is that okay for you? Just let us know in the chat room. But let's continue, Jon.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. Oops, if I could type, that would be great. I'm going to go ahead and continue to give it a few more options here. And so you'll see what I'm doing here. I'm taking phrases, but also natural language, right? How someone would actually come and ask me, John, where do I find your tutorials? Where are your tech videos? So I'll put 8 for now, and we'll go ahead and say that that's okay. We'll then save that topic. And then we're going to go ahead into the authoring canvas. And so again, we're dropped in blank 2 things, trigger phrases and a message. And so there's always kind of this message of oh yeah, I understand what you're saying, right? And so we want to go ahead and first acknowledge and say, great. Okay, and so all of a sudden we acknowledge, and then we're going to ask a question here so that we can branch. Do you want, actually, which content do you want? And then we'll have some multiple choice options, and the first option will be Power Automate. Second option, Power Virtual Agents. And now check this out. Look at that. I said multiple choice. I gave it 2 options, and look what it did. It went and created a condition for me. It went ahead and created a variable depending on each side. And now I have a separate path to say, okay, if I choose Power Virtual Agents or if I choose Power Automate, I'll go down a separate path. Okay, and so then for the for Power Automate here, we'll say, okay, Power Automate it is. And then I'll ask him one more question. Him, her, them, sorry.
Now, while you're doing that, you mentioned that this is, creating a flow is not as easy as doing a Power Virtual Agent, right? I completely agree with you. Now, I'm also very new to this. I haven't used Power Virtual Agents that much, but it's amazing to me how quick, visually speaking, how quick you can build something, right?
Yes.
So,
yeah, it really, really is. And when you see, and don't get me wrong, Power Automate is my first love. It's my baby, and I love it so much. But I also got to give credit where credit is due, right? You have to take into account like the ease of this experience is just second to none.
The only thing I would hope for is for Microsoft to allow some sort of, allowing us to use Power Virtual Agents, but outside of the Teams framework, right? But just to try it out from there, right? From that window where you were trying it from. Now let's see if if they actually do that, because I've seen several communities where they do ask us to do that, or we ask them to do that actually.
Yes, totally. I mean, it's definitely worth asking. I think it's a good first step. They're proving that they're listening and trying to make inroads. And I think, the worst thing that can happen is they say no, that we've made it on Teams and anything else you have to pay for. But I think it's worth it. Okay, so I went and found that playlist, and then I'm going to drop this in to say here is the. And so then I'll just go ahead and drop that in like that. And then I'll actually copy it and do this and drop in a nice little link. All right, and then I'll save that. And then now we just have to fill out these 3 things real quick. And then I realize I'm running a little bit short on time. All right, and so then let me kill that. Power Automate, connector, intermediate, beginner. So these are all available to you guys if these are all out on YouTube. If you're looking to learn about Power Automate, like I said, it's my first love. Azure is going to do a great job getting you introduced. And if you want to continue that journey, I definitely don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I have like 109 Power Automate tutorials at this point across all the playlists and things. So there is a lot. And one more, we are almost there. Bear with me. See, I know it's like a little boring to watch someone kind of fill in slots in a bot, but I think the crazy part about it is what you're watching right now is I'm coding a bot. Like, right? I'm filling in boxes, but there's literally a bot that's going to work from this, right? Okay, and I'm going to prove it. So we now have the topic done, okay? And so we have 3 topics at our disposal now. We have our greeting, we have beer, and we have YouTube. We don't really care about all the rest at this moment, okay? And so let's go check out beer really quick, just so you can get a look at what's in there. So we should get beers, beer, wings and beer, beer and wings. Talk to me about beer. Tell me about beer. Let's talk about beer, right? These are a bunch of my trigger phrases. How much do you love beer? Do you love beer? What's your favorite beer? Blah, blah, blah. And then I say my acknowledgement. Remember, yes, beer, nectar of the gods. Let's talk about it. What can I answer for you? What's your favorite? What are some of the beers you have? Want to buy me a beer? What's the world's best spot for wings and beer? And so what's your favorite? I love Blue Moon. What are some of the beers you've tried? I connect you to my Untapped so you can see my beer roster. Want to buy me a beer? Sends you to PayPal where you can drop a $5 to buy me a beer if you'd like. And then also, what's the world's best spot for wings and beer? I give a shout out to one of my favorite spots on the planet, J. Timothy's in Bristol, Connecticut. If you're ever in the area and you want to have the world's best chicken wings, go there. I've eaten lots of chicken wings all over the world, all over the U.S. None compare. Nothing like those. Nothing. And you know what the trick is? They fry them and then they sauce them and then they fry them and then they sauce them. They're called dirty wings and they're double fried and double sauced. They're outrageous. Okay, back to the demo at hand. Let's go back to the homepage. We've seen our 3 topics. Let's go ahead and start talking to the bot. Hello. It's going to go ahead and ask me for my name. My name is John. All right, John, what can you do for me? Talk to me about beer. Yes, beer, nectar of the gods. Let's talk about it. What can I answer for you about beer? Now, one thing I want you to notice, we went right from the greeting topic, right? And then jumped right into the beer topic. I did not build anything behind the scenes to connect those 2 topics. The bot understood that I was going from here to there and didn't need me to build a flow to connect that in any way. It just knows to jump around. So now I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, what's your favorite beer? My friend, I love all the beer, but if I had to pick one, I'd likely pick Blue Moon Belgian Wheat. Now, where am I? I'm kind of at the end of a loop, right? I should have put something here that said, what else can I answer for you? Or are you done? But since it's a demo, we didn't do that. And let's keep going. Let's ask it another question. Do you make videos? Looks like you're looking for some video content. Which content do you want? I want Power Automate. Okay, Power Automate it is. What level do you want? I want all the beginner stuff. Awesome. Here's a playlist, right? And so like in what? We've been looking at this for literally 24 minutes and a half together. And I've created a chatbot that hands off intelligently between topic to topic and serves up information in a very useful and understandable manner. Literally like in front of you, we're just dragging and dropping info. It's so easy. It's ridiculously easy. And this is what I'm saying. Like if Power Automate could be at this level, like the platform would be, sun and stars ahead of where it is. I think, every time I do a demo, I say hats off to the Power Virtual Agents team. And again, hats off to the Power Virtual Agents team. They are smashing it out of the park. Any questions?
Okay, I will actually start off with one question. Now, you mentioned Spanish or other languages can be used here, right? Now, what I find interesting is that I've seen in other tutorials or just online that we see just the English language being used, right? Or at least from the videos I've seen. So when you say that, you can actually use other languages right from the get-go, that just makes it a lot more powerful, right? Because you have a broader scope of your audience right away. Now, something I haven't tried, which I think would be interesting, is to see, can you combine languages? Do you know if you can, depending on the name that you select, for example, a very Latin name, Maria, for example, versus, a more American name, depending on that, can you, can Power Virtual Agents identify that and then give you an answer based off of that, right? Instead of asking you, where are you located or which language would you like to see this? Do you know if it has that capability to detect that?
So the bot itself, Power Virtual Agents, does not have that ability. It operates in English, but by using that fallback topic that I was talking about, what you can do is you can actually use Power Automate in partnership with Power Virtual Agents. And when the bot doesn't recognize, so what you would do is you wouldn't actually ask the user to identify their language. You would ask, in your instance, Maria, to just go ahead and write in Spanish to the bot, in the box, in Spanish, her question. And then the bot would say, I don't understand what this language is. I only understand English. It would then call a flow to detect that language, to then translate that Spanish to English. It would then answer the question, and then Power Automate would translate back that answer to Spanish to give back to Maria.
Okay, so that's highly interesting. Okay, that's something that definitely I'm going to have to test out, right? Because again, I've just done like very simple Power Agents, but nothing like this. Thank you for that, John. Now, we do have a few questions here in the Q&A section. Let's go from the bottom up. Fernando says, Francis Scanner is what I'm enjoying right now. There you go. I think that's, cheers to you, Fernando, for having that. And let's go next to Walter. Walter asks, how do you insert the bot in a website? I'm guessing, how do you embed that bot in a website? That's actually a very, very good question.
Yeah, so actually, I'll go ahead and kill my video. I'll pull back up the demo really quick, and I'll show you that here. So let me know. I think my screen is back up. I see the border. So very simply, let's say that we were happy with that bot, right? This experience is everything we want. We then can go ahead over here to this publish page. We can then publish the latest content. Since I've been editing, we'll republish the bot so that the latest is public. Awesome. It'll be available in the next 15 minutes. And now we can actually go here to channels. And so we can see very easily in Teams how we can quickly deploy this to a single team, or even we can, maybe, oh, there we go. We can go ahead and copy this bot, and we can edit it, and we can distribute it amongst a team. But also there's options right here to submit this to the admin so that your entire organization can use the bot. Right now, the experience, let me pull up my Teams. The bot actually lives on the sidebar here as an app, and they're creating an experience where it will be able to be pinned to a team channel. So it'll live within a certain team. It's not available now, but it is coming soon. But you can also have this as a bot for you, as a bot for others. And so that's the free method. Now, if we wanted to go ahead and embed it in other things, right? Say a mobile app, we have some code options here that we can work with. Also, similarly for a custom website, we have embed code here that we can embed in the website. And then there's also this demo website, which is pretty neat, where, you know, if I'm just toying around, I can send this demo link to someone, and my Jon bot is actually alive behind this little demo site. Taking a minute here. Any day now. It's going to make me a liar. There we go. Awesome. And so here we go. You can see the Jon bot there. You can see here are some things it can help you with. Hello, start over, and then even talk to a person if you didn't want to talk to a bot, and we built in that handoff to chat option to a real person. All these things are there, but you know, just similarly we can click hello, what's up friend, before we go any further. Tell me your name. I'm John L. Nice to meet you, John L. Now that we have that, what can I do for you? Right? Same thing. So, you know, that translate power virtual agents responses, it's in a 39-minute video. That thing you wanted to do, that thing I was just talking about, 39 minutes, follow this how-to. You too can also translate exactly like that, where you have someone ask in their natural language. You don't ask them to identify. The bot does it all. Literally 39 minutes, you can copy it and make it for yourself. And so, yeah, so it's literally as simple as that, where all these embed options. Facebook is an interesting one. You have to go get a Facebook developer code. You have to do a handoff back and forth, similar to Kik, similar to Telegram. All these are a little more in depth, but like Teams and embedding in a website, putting it in your app, those things are fairly straightforward and patterns we're used to. These things are a little bit more in depth.
Now, let me ask you this then. I see that you're using, you know, the PVA. I'm just going to say PVA, right? That website. Is there any cost associated with embedding on anything else other than Teams, or, you know, inside the entire organization? Like, would you get charged per usage or per, you know, 1,000 usages or calls to that PVA if you embed on a website, for example, or, you know, inside Facebook or Telegram or whatever it is outside of your organization?
Yep. So there definitely is. What you would see is you would get a 90-day trial when you first begin, and you would see nothing happen for that 90 days. You could use everything like you wanted. Then at the 90-day mark, they're going to say, hey, your trial's expiring. Could you please pay? Or could you please click this button to extend the trial? And then you'll click that button to extend the trial, and you'll get another 30 days. And then you could click that button again and again and again to get another 30 days. But as soon as you got tired of clicking that button and said, let's pay for this thing, you then would go and look at your Power Virtual Agents pricing page, which, if I remember, where is it? Documentation, licensing. And so this is where it gets a little interesting, and I'm trying to find, I thought they had a chart.
Yeah, they usually do, right? I know that they have one for Power Apps, so I wouldn't be surprised. Perhaps if they put it inside the same Dataverse, as they call it now.
In Dataverse, also free. All the Dataverse stuff is, as long as, you know, that's also supported and entirely free. Hold on. Let's just do this. Power Virtual, oh my God, Virtual Agents pricing. And so here we go. This is what we want. There it is. This is the simple thing I was looking for. So 2,000 sessions for $1,000. It's not a small investment for an organization, which is why we say, hey, do it in Teams because it's free. Now, if your organization's massive and you're like, no, that doesn't make sense for us, we want to have it on the website, $1,000 is not a big deal for us. I want to explain what a session is, and you can kind of see right here. A session is an interaction between a user and a bot. It begins when the topic is triggered and when one of these conditions is met. Either the user's questions are answered. So I got two questions, right? I asked about beer and I asked about Power Virtual Agents content. I got both of those things. I leave the site. That's one session. Or if I'm a crazy person and I sit there and I talk to the bot for 60 minutes, that's also one session. Or 100 turns back and forth. So I could ask 50 things essentially, and the bot could return me 50 things. Any of those conditions counts as a session. And so this is kind of your entry point for that enterprise level chatbot.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, but for sure it's not a small investment, but at least we have that ability to test in teams, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that makes sense. Now, we have another question here for you from Nestor. He asks, is it possible to embed a machine learning model or cognitive services such as search or translate to the virtual agent that uses those users' input to make recommendations? I hope that makes sense. A little convoluted, but.
No, it does make sense. And so there are some mechanisms, again, for the length of the demo, I couldn't get into it, but there are some mechanisms there where the bot will report to you, what are people asking? And if you want to go beyond that even, you can go beyond that and do even more, where you can connect it to Q&A Maker, you can auto consume FAQs, you can connect it to intelligence. I think one of the things that we did very early on was we would create an approval system where when the bot didn't have an answer, it would kick off a flow approval where it would ask you to provide an answer if it didn't have one, or it would ask you to approve this, like its best suggestion. And if you didn't approve it, it gave you the option to write in the proper answer, which then updated the database with that question answer pair so that the next time it was asked, it automatically was served up and you never had to deal with that again. And so that's a long answer to a yes/no question, and so yes.
Excellent, thank you. And Nestor, I hope that makes sense to you as well. Now, thank you so much for your presentation, Jon. I think we had you for definitely more minutes than we had planned. So I appreciate you taking the time to come here today with us, right?